Hi, this is a shir devoted again, as always, to Rachalea Bas Rav Chaim Tzvi, Lilu Nishmata. She should have a true aliyah. She really brings Torah to so many people via those who commemorated her in these shirim. That's quite something to think of. We're going to be talking today about Lag BaOmer. So, what's it really about? So there are several things that we have to discuss. One is the concept of its time, why the events of this day happened at this day, midway between Pesach and Shavuos. The other is the death of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's Talmidim, and the other is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai himself. So let's begin by talking about the middle issue, which is the death of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's Talmidim during Sfirat HaOmer. So the Zohar says, and it's quoted widely in the Sifrei Chasidus, that the days of Sfirat HaOmer are analogous to the days that a woman counts before she's permitted to her husband. So what does that mean? What's the correlation other than 7 and 7? So in order to understand this, we have to understand some, at least, of the Arizal's Torah on the Shibud in Mitzrayim. So while this is quite heavy going, and we probably won't get all of it, get some of it as introduction to Sfira. So what the Arizal says is that after Adam's sin, he endeavored to do tshuva. What kind of tshuva? So it says in the Midrashim and in the Gemara that he immersed in Nahar Dinur, the river of fire, for 130 years. What brought him to the reality of that this isn't the way to do tshuva? So as you know from the Torah, by that time, by the amount of time that passed, generations were born. Lemach's wives wanted to leave him. He had tragically killed Cain by accident. Okay, clapping his hands together. Okay, you know the story. And they said, "We're doomed. Why should we entwine our lives with yours?" So he insisted that they bring their case to Adam HaRishon. So Adam said, "No, if you sin, you do tshuva. He sinned, he'll do tshuva. You should stay with him." To which they said, "Well, why don't you walk your talk? You sinned, you're doing tshuva, but you separated from your wife." So Adam heard them, and he went back to his wife, and Shet, the third son, the only son about whom it says in the Torah that he was in Hashem's image, Shet was the image that Adam had within him, was born. Of what concern is this to us? Let's go back. The years that he was separated from his wife, from Chava, he was bathing in the river of fire. What does that mean? He was trying to purify himself. But, tragically, because of his not grasping the nature of tshuva, what happened during these years of separation was that he had many seminal emissions. That semen came forth from his body. He was yearning for closeness, and this is what happened. Now, what happens when that occurs? One of the things that secular people mock when they read the Shulchan Aruch is the big deal that people make about this. They say, men masturbate, so what? Who's harmed? So the reason they say this is that they think that life belongs to us, and life force belongs to us, when in fact, life force belongs to Hashem. It's not ours. There was a movie a while back that people told me about. Whose life is it anyway? It was about someone who wanted to commit suicide, and it was justifying assisted suicide. So the truth is, the answer to that question, whose life is it anyway, is what? It's Hashem's life. It's not your life. You don't own your life. So what happens is that all of the souls that were supposed to be born into the world through Adam were not born. So they had to come back. They had to be embodied. And they needed tikkun because they came into the world after already having been conceived not in Kedusha. So the first level of tikkun took place in the generation of the flood. So the Arizal tells us that the people of that generation were in fact the souls that were conceived but not born by Adam. So they, in order to reach Tahara, they had to have nisyonos. The nisayon, the challenge of the generation of the flood, as we see from the sins they did, was physical desire. What was the main sin there? Theft, grabbing, I want, for me. That's the source of all sins of promiscuity and taiva. And it all began, the spiral downward began, as we see in the text in the Chumash,